Yep. Those are all Clint's girlfriends.
They're all lined up to meet me, baby. Yeah.
And they have a new group called Body Odor. Welcome back. Beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Gradowski, here of the best political show, as we have a lot of absolutely crazy and wild news to get into today, as Tucker Carlson and Bill O'Reilly have their own kind of unique take about the current situation going on right now with Joe Biden, as Jill Biden is positioning herself more and more in an extremely important role, as Kamala Harris had some very interesting things to say, as everyone is not surprised by just how awful and horrible it was, as there's also a major Supreme Court decision, as Steve Bannon is literally reporting to jail in the making of this video. So lots to go over. We're going to be discussing that plus a lot more all here for the next 2 hours. So please share this broadcast with your friends and family members. We're fighting an uphill battle with this particular platform, getting these videos out there. You guys help them. And every time we have a lot of people that are viewing the channel, sharing the channel, we're able to get really incredible guests. Last week, we had UFC superstars. We had so many incredible individuals. We had Roger Stone here watching. Again, we are the best political show.com. We mean it, and we want to make sure we're going to be the best, and we're only the best because of because of you guys, and you guys sharing it. It really does mean a lot to us, and we generously thank you so much for being a part of this independent media organization and being with me for 20 plus years. It's been a long time, and we definitely have a lot more to do, as of course you guys get to also participate in the conversation. And one quick and easy way to do that is to sign up to lookunfiltered.com. When you do that, you get the ability to call in, as we are going to be going to callers in about an hour and a half from now. You could be that caller if you go into the Telegram group right now and let me know that you want to call in, and we will reserve your spot. So you will be the first one to, of course, talk to all of us, including our incredible guests. You also could use mysuperchat.com, a platform that only takes a 3% service charge and allows you to have your super chats actually show up on screen. The link to that and everything is down in the description below. As of course, joining us for this conversation, we got two really awesome, incredible human beings who are a part of this show. The first of which is James Arthur Ray. James, for the people who don't know you, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
Well, I've been often called the most controversial man in leadership and performance. And I'll give you kind of a high level as to why that is. I've done some amazing things. I've lived a really polaristic life. I have created an Inc. 500 company. I have written 6 books, some of them New York Times bestsellers. I've been on Oprah, Larry King. You know, the list is long. On the polar side of that, I lost everything. I was one of the victims, or one of the targets, I should say, of the weaponization of the legal system all the way back in 2009. And that's a long story we can get into if you like. But I'm married to a legal immigrant, emphasis on legal. And I'm also considered a felon. So I'm in really good company these days.
all the cool kids are felons these days, especially with all the political thought crimes going out there.
I'm in good company. Yeah, I really am.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I was arrested 7 times doing my work. Never convicted, so still innocent, and I don't think I have a record. I probably have a big FBI one, but that's a separate story. Bursav, am I saying that right? Am I close? Am I bad?
Close,
I'm
close.
dyslexic and I'm Polish, so you have to excuse me.
That's okay. You did well.
How do you say your name and who are you?
Sure. My name is Bersaba Ray. I am a legal immigrant that escaped from Iran. I'm married to a felon, and I'm also probably going to vote for a felon. So there you go. Nice, short, and sweet.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you guys here. We were connected through an awesome previous guest of ours,
Yes.
And it's great to have you guys here. Clint, you've been busy, man. I mean, you're just stacking them. It's impressive, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, my dating life is very exciting, but I'm actually, I've never been arrested. I'm not a felon.
You're not cool. You're not cool like us.
I've never voted for a felon, but I'm open to the idea. It sounds fun. given that we live under a criminal empire. Why not have a felon running it? Doesn't that seem apropos? I think so. Anyways, I'm the host of Liberty Lockdown, and I am the co-host of the Best Political Show. If you guys could pick up your phone right now and subscribe to both on your favorite RSS feed or podcatcher, I would appreciate it. We got Steph to my right.
Hello, everyone. This is Steph of We Are Change, and I am the button pusher of this show.
And I'm going to be talking a lot, right?
And I'm going to be talking a lot.
She's going to be talking so much.
We're so excited. Oh, yes. Maybe this will be the night. But we will see. As of course, there's a lot of things we got to get into, particularly the story that kind of developed over the weekend since the last presidential debate. I would say one of the biggest presidential debates since Nixon and JFK. I think it's one for the history books. It's one that is bringing up a lot of very interesting questions. And I think our initial reaction here with Roger Stone, who, by the way, predicted a lot of this to the T, was that it's kind of strange that the media is singing the same tune in unison. And this is a point made earlier by Elon Musk that came out and said, quote, "That's almost the entire media repeated the same lie with the same exact words is disturbing. The legacy news is not merely fake, but also unoriginally fake. If you want to know the truth, it's on X," as he, of course, tweeted a video highlighting some of the major problems that Joe Biden had when it came to just speaking during the presidential debates. As there's a new video that a lot of people are sharing right now highlighting Jake Tapper of CNN going in on Joe Biden in a very, quote, alleged aggressive way. Here's the clip. I haven't even seen it myself. I just saw everyone share it right now. So let's see what he has to say.
In an attempt to reassure voters about his fitness for office, Biden campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon holding a call with party leaders earlier today, telling them this too shall pass. There is a pattern, discernible pattern, of Democratic officials seemingly trying to convince you, the public, to not believe what you saw and what you heard with your eyes and with your ears on Thursday night.
Hey, that's usually what I say. What Jake Tapper, what's going on here? Is hell freezing over?
This is CNN.
This is CNN.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Quoting Orwell.
Yeah.
Reverse psychology.
Unironically. What the hell's happening?
Yeah. There's more to this clip unless you guys want to say anything else.
No, I just think this has been brewing in the background for a long, long time. And it's kind of predictable if you're paying attention. There's a plan here. And it's time. They've decided now that they want to bring it out to the public. Why did they even put him in a debate to begin with? I mean, isn't that an interesting question?
Especially this early on in the political season.
Way early. Why did they put him in a debate? They knew he was going to fumble. And it's almost as if they wanted him to fumble, because the American public then would go, wait a minute. And now the whole media has shifted its whole perspective. And they're saying who's going to replace him. And I feel very confident they already have some people queued up.
People continue to report that only Kamala Harris can actually take the war chest over if Joe voluntarily steps down. Does anybody know if that's true? Because if that's the case, I can't actually imagine them that being their intention, that being their game plan to have Kamala. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we have a great video of Kamala saying she's from the streets. Literally, that's what she said.
She's for the streets, not from the streets.
No. Well, she came from the streets. She says she's from the streets. Her history with Willie Brown. We'll get into it in a little bit, but let's play the remaining CNN clip that a lot of people are saying is kind of representative of hell freezing over.
Do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look,
nailed it.
If we finally beat Medicare, The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Democratic officials have tried to spin this in many ways. They said President Biden just had a cold. They said it was just one off night, akin to when President Obama in 2012 was rusty and seemed a little huffy. But behind the scenes, make no mistake, most Democratic officials witnessed the same shocking spectacle that you did. The difficulty that the presumptive Democratic nominee, the current president of the United States, had just articulating his basic thoughts during the 90 minutes of the debate.
This is kind of surprising that this is on CNN, that this is kind of Jake Tapper, that this is the kind of Democrats in a state of crisis, as it definitely does seem like there's kind of an internal war happening inside of this political party, and that there's multiple factions here. Now, many people have many different kind of takes on this larger kind of situation, but it does look like there is a concerted kind of group within the Biden administration, specifically with Jill, specifically with his son Hunter, that are saying, you got it, Dad. Keep going. 4 more years. We believe in you. Will that group be successful in achieving their larger kind of political aspirations is another question. But it's still like unbelievable that there is a group saying, keep going. You got this.
Yeah.
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, there's some underlying motivation there. Obviously, if Daddy gets out of office, Hunter's
Going down.
in worse trouble than he's already in, and Jill is an accomplice, and we know a lot of the history that's unfolded.
Well, he's in trouble too himself, Biden.
Yeah, he is, and so as long as he's been in office, he to this point has been sheltered, and he's been protected. And you know, who was it that the special counsel that investigated him having documents that he wasn't even supposed to have as a vice president?
Jack Smith?
It wasn't Jack Smith.
Which one was it?
I don't remember his name.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
But they decided not to prosecute him because he was old and he couldn't remember. Okay, but he can run the country, and so.
Yeah, that was their excuse for the classified documents that Joe
Correct.
Biden had in his garage, as there was even a major kind of corporate media photos of him specifically just kind of keeping it there with the door wide open.
Right.
And they're going after Trump for not securing his classified documents
Right.
correctly when this guy literally has a garage full of them that's open to the general public.
Right.
Well, I think the other thing is that there's a big controversy today, which I'm sure we'll get into later, over presidential immunity. Well, Joe Biden is not going to have presidential immunity for the deals that his son negotiated using his political leverage in Ukraine when he was the vice president of the United States. As far as I know, you don't have presidential immunity for your actions. Not to mention it's corrupt. It's totally outside the purview of his regular duties. So even if he was president, I still think it would be criminal and impeachable. So I think that more than anything is why they're so concerned. They have already weaponized the justice system. They've sicked their dogs on Trump on a dozen different angles, it seems like. And I think that they're afraid of the backlash. So I think that's probably the driving factor. And then the people that are supporting him still are the sycophants that only continue to get fed or protected as long as Joe Biden's in a position of power. Whereas Gavin Newsom or whoever, they probably don't have that same type of relationship. So I think there's a lot of personal incentive that's encouraging people to do things that are otherwise illogical.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it certainly isn't wifely love.
No.
From Joe Biden, or this is my daddy love, because I've often told Beersheba, if I was making a fool out of myself and really in a position like that, and you as my wife continued to drive that and not do anything about it, it would be horrific.
Yeah, I think Roger Stone made the same point on this show, saying, your wife is supposed to be there to make sure you don't make stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
Hence why me and Clint don't have any wives.
We can make stupid mistakes unencumbered. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
you have to make sure that you make a good choice of wife,
Yes.
not a stupid mistake.
That's
as
why
a
we're not
wife
married,
first.
because we're trying to make sure we make that.
I totally
Hyper paranoid
totally
about that point.
I support that decision. Took me a long time.
No, but what Jill is doing, it's spousal abuse. Like you're parading around an old man who doesn't know where he is, who, according to some sources, is crapping his pants, who clearly isn't having a good time. When you're that old, you become very angry out of nowhere. You have these kind of feelings and emotions that take over you that you have no self-control in. You snap at people. And there's a lot of reports that we heard, even just a few months ago, of Joe Biden snapping and being angry and screaming at people. He's at press conferences where he's literally yelling back at the press reporters. That's not that guy. And again, it's hard to feel sorry for a career politician that has sold this country out. But I kind of feel sorry for him because the people around him, his son, his daughter, according to some of the sources, are saying, keep going. You got this. Campaigning is extremely difficult. Doing public events, speaking in front of crowds, extremely difficult. Shaking hands. He had a cold, allegedly, according to some White House officials. Then he went out and did a public event where he started shaking hands again with random people. That's not a way to treat the situation if it was even true. It obviously probably wasn't. But this is absolutely horrible, and it shows you just how evil a lot of people in politics are, where, you know, your own husband, your own father, keep pushing them out there for my own personal benefit. And it's kind of sad and kind of pathetic on so many different levels.
Well, let's face it. She's benefited financially immensely from his positions, as has Hunter. I mean, that's a fact. You can't argue that. And if I may digress for a moment about the anger and yelling, I had a father who was literally brilliant. He had a master's degree, a doctorate degree rather, in comparative religions, and he literally was a genius. And he got dementia and Alzheimer's. God rest his soul. And I watched him deteriorate over the years. And those are behaviors of that illness. It's an ugly, ugly illness. And it just makes you angry, because I think if I had to project with my father, my experience with him, what's going on inside, who you are inside, is not coming outside. And what's happening outside is not what you're wanting inside. And it makes you angry at yourself, angry at life. And that's, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me, given that experience, that he has some real problems. They wanted him to take a cognitive test prior to the debate, and he refused. It's
not dissimilar to athletes late stage of their career, even though I do not want to put Biden in the camp of an elite athlete by any stretch of the imagination.
Please.
He's never been a gifted orator or brilliant or anything good at all, as far as I'm concerned. But I think that in terms of comparing the two, you know, an athlete that's elite has a very difficult time taking a step back, becoming a bench player or a coach, because they're just not accustomed to people that can't meet their high expectations and their capacity, their ability. And I feel like once you have dementia, it's kind of like asking yourself to now ride the bench. And he's just unwilling. And I think that his family is looking at him saying, we're not gonna allow that either.
Did you have the spicy biltong? Is that why?
I don't know why I'm choking.
Is that why you're choking up here?
I had the Wagyu, and maybe that's why I'm a little raspy too. I don't know.
That's some good stuff. We'll tell you about that stuff in just a little bit. But there's two senior media figures that have two completely different takes on this, and I find it fascinating. One is from Bill O'Reilly, which automatically I don't like, because he called me and my organization, what did you say, a jihadi-loving liberal group, which is, again, not true, but we don't have a lot of love affair with Bill O'Reilly that we also previously confronted on camera. But he came out and he gave an update specifically saying Biden is going to be dropping out, that there was a decision made at Camp David saying, according to his sources, which again are anonymous, they came out and they said that the decision at Camp David was made, Biden will be stepping down. Tucker Carlson made another kind of observation here, and according to his kind of analysis, he says that there's a bigger war kind of brewing between the Obamas and the Bidens, that there's a lot of anger between the two families, and that Jill Biden is driving this larger divide between the Bidens and the Obamas, and she's the one calling the shots here. She's the one forcing the re-election. She's the one that is essentially calling the shots here. Now, without being politically biased like I am against Bill O'Reilly, which one of these two do you think makes more sense when it comes to their kind of thesis about what's going on here?
I have to vote for Tucker.
Me too. Tucker tells
you know, but I have to say I like Tucker a lot. So
I mean, it boils down to the sources on both. Neither of them could be correct potentially. It depends if their sources are correct. I don't trust O'Reilly whatsoever. He's a dying star. Whatever the opposite of a quasar is, or I guess, quasar. Anyways,
a dying star.
so I think that I take his with a grain of salt. He's desperate for attention. Mm-hmm. Tucker doesn't have any real incentive to lie. He's going to get massive traction no matter what he has to say. So I tend to think that there's more credibility to his claims. But I also have tremendous confirmation bias in that I do think that the Obama family or empire has kind of been puppeting Biden behind the scenes a little bit, and so that that jives with my preconceived notions. So I guess that's why.
Yeah, it was Obama that brought in Joe Biden as his VP and then put him in a very prominent position. It's Obama that's campaigning and has campaigned for Joe Biden. So
It was
But
Obama,
Tucker was
too,
saying-
that went on record, you can find the video somewhere, then said, if I could sit in a basement with a headset on and run the country with someone else being the front man, I would love to do that.
Yep. And he found a way.
You know, it seems like he found a way. I have to go
But
back.
doesn't it seem like Tucker is saying that Jill is the one that's
yeah. He says, quote, Jill Biden is the driving force behind her husband's reelection campaign,
Yeah.
just as she was in 2020, when other members of the family, including Biden's sister Val, considered him too impaired to run. So this is the exact words from
But
from
the
Tucker
reason
Carlson.
it makes sense to me is that I think that Obama has a lot of contacts in the media. I think that, in my estimation, he's got a lot of contacts with the CIA, which would also help with
No
the
way.
Mockingbird media. So when I see the narrative shift in real time, and it's kind of counter to what Biden and the Biden family wants, but it is kind of in alignment with what I think Obama would like to see, which is him out of there. That's the reason that this entire narrative jives with me, and it's still there's no conflict in him saying that Jill Biden is running the ship because Joe is incapacitated. So that makes sense.
maybe
Can I-
Obama asked him to step down and he's not
there you
doing
go.
it. So because he
That's-
wants to push Michelle, or
That's-
can I say Michael in there?
That's
Big Mike.
that's
Big
her.
Mike, pushing Big Mike in the game.
That's her intuitive. She's very intuitive. And I was
And
going
that's
to I was
what
going
I'm
to say
gonna- holy smokes.
if I can pretend like I have a crystal ball, which I don't. But here's what I think, and I go back to what I started with earlier. I think there's been a long-term plan of this happening for a long time. And I speculate, pure speculation, that they've already asked him to step down, and he won't do it because he's stubborn.
Yeah.
And his wife is even more stubborn. And so they're afraid because they know all these things that have been weaponized in the legal system are going to come back to haunt them. And the things that have been uncovered have been covered up and hidden and overlooked. And so consequently, he's stubborn and he won't do it. And so Trump predicted it a long time ago. He said the 25th Amendment is not going to be a problem for me, but it's going to take out Joe Biden. Here's what I speculate. Could be totally wrong, but if I'm right, you'll replay this video. They're going to take him out with the 25th Amendment because he's not going to step down on his own. And yet they want him to be the nominee. He has to be the nominee because if he's not the nominee, it goes back to what you were saying, is that it has to be Kamala. And that's a disaster.
Right.
No one likes her.
Yeah.
Not even the Democrats.
Well, the DNC today was talking about certifying and making sure that Joe Biden is going to be certified as the candidate
In July.
in July before the convention,
Right.
Just to kind of solidify his position there.
To assuage people's fears. Yeah.
Just really quick, is Twitter down for you guys? I'm trying to go on Twitter and I'm trying to pull up the video from Joe Biden 4 years ago where he was on a late night TV show and he literally said that if there's a disagreement between him and Kamala, that he's going to say that he has a sickness and
Twitter's
then
down.
drop out. Okay.
It's up for me.
It might be the cache, but if you go, I'm trying to pull up that story so we could play
now
it for.
now it's grinding.
Yeah. So
I can't refresh, so it's just the cache, so it's down.
yeah. Again, not a surprise here, since of course there's been so many attacks on Elon Musk. There's been so many attacks on alternative independent media platforms right before the presidential debate, right before a major independent media organization was going to carry a huge portion of Independent Voices' commentary on it. They got shut down. So there could be some problems over at Twitter, could be a deliberate attack, could be some kind of maybe sabotage on their server. Who knows what's really going on here? But I'm having difficulties finding that particular video. Maybe my producer could find it on another platform. That video 4 years ago with Joe Biden saying he's going to drop out and say that he, of course, has an illness. But
He kind of said it in jest. I didn't take it really seriously. It was under direct inquiry as to whether or not if there was a conflict between he and Kamala, if I recall.
yes, that was the exact question.
but
But
it
then he was talking about Kamala, and then he was talking about Obama, and then he kind of veered off in a very weird direction where he started speaking about
Right.
something completely different, off a completely different pathway, and then he issued those words 4 years ago.
I think there's going to be this tendency and there already is, I've seen it over the past few days since this debate debacle, is that people are trying to basically portray it as if this is such a precipitous decline. Joe Biden running in 2020 was a shell of his former self. And his former self was a shell of a human being to begin with. He's not an impressive guy. So people are trying to make it sound like, oh, he's this honorable, upstanding. He used to be such a great speaker. And he used to be this and that. It's like, no, this guy's been a bum forever.
Right.
But they're trying to like hagiography him in real time, like rewrite his history as if he was some heroic figure. The dude's been terrible forever. Yes, he is also now brain broken and can't actually function. But like the reason I bring that up is that conversation where he was talking about that with Kamala, it was just like self-deprecating humor as best I could tell. It didn't seem sincere to me, but maybe we can find it later and play it.
Yeah, I think playing it in full context is going to be important here, as of course Joe Biden also is now on the cover of Vogue, as she is the one that, of course,
Superstar.
a lot of people are saying is the one that's the driving force between the Biden administration's re-election campaign. As of course, this is Ginger Gates, this is Matt Gaetz's other better half, who came out and tweeted this, highlighting the cover of Time, and then highlighting this specific Vogue perspective of the corporate media and their kind of larger perspective, their larger kind of assessment on the situation, which I think is extremely telling here as the first response here, showing Big Mike here behind the tree, clasping his hands, really is kind of indicative of what a lot of people, big manly hands. It's very indicative of what a lot of, of what a lot of people
it is
see
kind of
happening.
interesting that everyone continues to theorize that it's going to be Michelle, I'll be kind. And no one, despite the fact that everyone's saying Jill Biden is in fact running the Joe Biden ship, no one's theorizing that they're going to replace Joe with Jill. But for some reason, Obama's better half is automatically qualified to be the president of the United States. It's just interesting.
Can I go back to my crystal ball?
It's right behind you.
I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm gonna just speculate because I believe, and you already mentioned it, that Obama is running the show, and you know they project what they're going to do all the time because they're so full of themselves. They think they can get away with it, and they do, and so I believe that they want him out. They've asked him to get out. He's not going to get out. And they'll take him out with the 25th Amendment eventually. But they'll wait until he's the nominee. Now they're trying to move up the nomination early. Isn't that interesting? To make sure he's guaranteed the nomination. Now what are they going to do? Well, by rights, it would be Kamala. We can't do Kamala. You know, if Obama is running the show, let's just speculate, that we can't do Kamala. She's not competent. She's not right. Well, now there's Hillary Clinton being projected, and then there's Newsom. Okay, they're not going to do Newsom. I'll tell you why. This is my speculation again. He's white, and he's a guy. If you take out Kamala and put in a white guy, that totally messes up your DEI. Okay, totally goes against it. It's not going to work.
And they're already losing the black vote pretty aggressively.
That's right, very aggressively. It's not going to work. Well, then that gives us Kamala. Well, Kamala is Kamala, and then that gives us Clinton. Clinton doesn't have the same steam she used to have. And, by the way, I don't think she's as controllable by Obama as Biden is.
Yeah.
But who is? Michelle. And Michelle is kind of squeaky right now. She doesn't have a lot of dirty laundry out. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of dirty laundry that can come out, but
it'll all be denied and called conspiracy theories.
It'll all be
and suppressed and until after the election, which is what they do.
Correct.
Normally.
And then people are going to see her as a continuation of Barack Obama, which was a very popular presidency, even though it was horrible for the American public, the American economy, and of course, social and political discourse in this country. I think my producer found the clip. Let's just play it really quickly because it's short.
And I told Barack, if I reach something where there's a fundamental disagreement we have based on a moral principle, I'll develop some disease and say I have to resign. We don't have that. We haven't. And I
look at Kamala. Kamala's response like, "What are you doing?" Like that. Your deals with Obama shouldn't be, and that could have been the deal. That could have been the kind of moment that could have happened. Again, we're speculating here because that's the best we could do. As of course, again, we got this cringy video of Kamala. We'll play it here in just a little bit, but I think what we just saw could potentially be the private deal cut behind closed doors that was supposed to happen. Like, okay, you'll get 4 years, then we'll introduce someone else and we'll put someone else in there. And now, poor old Joe couldn't be there. Jill could be seeing the situation and saying, I just want this for myself. And then she could be the one calling the shots here, saying, we're moving full steam ahead here.
I think, yeah, but I mean, what he's saying there is that he might develop some sort of sickness to drop. He's not. He doesn't have to fake it.
No,
it's real. It's very real.
It's all an act. It could also all just be an act.
No.
Like Jill could be like playing her role. Like what else is she supposed to be like? Oh yes, he is in mental. My husband is of mental decline.
You.
I must.
She's
You know.
the
Well,
mastermind.
some people were saying that
it.
too. That he's playing it up. He being Biden, because it'll give him deniability. If he goes out,
like he's playing,
and
like he's playing right now.
They come at him
Wow.
for all the legalities. It'll give him, something to.
He doesn't. have to.
Or he's really spry and he's playing possum right now, and he's playing like he's really weak and really tired, and he's going to pull off a Rocky V kind of move, and then in the presidential debate in September, he's going to whoop Trump's butt and walk all around him and show how spry and strong he really is as president of the United States. Right?
Yeah, with all the digital voting.
Yeah. Or they could just bring out a robot.
There you go.
Robot Joe Biden with the fake skin that they're developing with human cells right now. Could happen. Who the hell knows? Yeah. It's a crazy political cycle. Anything could happen.
I still think that there's really no other. Honestly, I don't think there's any replacement if the election's legitimate that could actually beat Trump right now. But if there is one though, I think Michelle Obama, because it would
absolutely.
She has the least baggage and she galvanizes the black voting base, which they've been losing. I mean, it's up from like 10% to 35% or something crazy like that for Trump, and that's a total death knell for the Democrats. I think she shifts that. I think she's the only one that probably shifts that, aside from maybe Oprah or something like that. I think, but the reports have been very consistent for a year now. She doesn't want to do it. Her life is great. She has no interest in being, in under the microscope. So I think that's their only hope. But I don't think she's willing. It's an interesting dynamic.
Honestly, I'd be pretty surprised if she does go. I mean, if she doesn't, I'd be surprised if it remains as Biden. And my question is, what would we prefer?
If we had to pick between those two,
Ron Paul.
Like what would we prefer to actually be on the ticket? Would it be Trump versus Michelle, or would it be Trump versus Biden? What would you guys prefer?
Wow.
I
would prefer Biden.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Biden is just.
Unless from a bigger picture perspective, we're looking at bringing out into the forefront, which is happening. It's really accelerated these days. A lot of the crimes and a lot of the corruption and those things that have happened.
And that's why Joe Biden is a hero. She's the one she's the one that's going to save this republic. She's the one that's going to help humanity by making Joe Biden run and then lose and fail in November. So shouts outs to the real one. Joe, she's also keeping us safe from a potential Kamala Harris presidency, which would, and again, let's just say magically he gets reelected, he comes into power, which again, the possibility that still could happen.
81 million votes,
and exactly, especially with all the. We can't talk about that specific stuff on YouTube. We'll get into it in about 30 minutes on another platform. But let's just say he wins. He's up there in age. He probably won't be alive for his full term. So this will be the actual president of the United States, Miss Kamala Harris, in her full cringe self, as she just released this latest video, which is just. Let me tell you. She literally said it. She's out here. She is. More ways though. This is like B-rate adult film star acting that is absolutely just awful. I don't know how
I've
much
seen
they
better
paid for
acting
this.
in pornos.
Yes. I was trying to say the family-friendly version of that, but adult films are more convincing with the plumber coming in and literally. Doing more than just his job, as of course Kamala is doing a great job screwing over this country.
Josie referred to her on Twitter today as Madam Knee Pads.
Oh.
I just wanted to. It was hilarious.
Ouch.
Hey, don't knock the hustle. She worked hard to be where she's at. You could ask Mayor Willie Brown about that. The clip continues. Yeah, this is awful, and it continues on a lot longer. And of course, it was paid for by the Biden-Harris political campaign. And this is what they thought was going to be reassuring. I don't know if this is a psyop within a psyop, but this is Kamala Harris releasing videos right now, trying to convince the American public that she's presidential. And I think she just did the exact opposite of that, as this was awful.
Let's hope
horrible.
and pray she did. I mean, there's some people you just don't know, what are they thinking?
I mean, do people actually watch this and believe it? I mean,
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm curious.
Yeah, is there people watching and go, yeah, it's for our freedom, it's for our...
Yeah, those extremists are so...
Yeah, and it's unreal. Like, basically, she said that you don't have to be responsible or accountable for anything that you do. So you could go around having sex with whomever, whenever, get pregnant, get rid of the baby, all that. That's basically what she was saying.
Freedom.
Freedom, in the name of freedom.
I wonder what Candace Owens has to say about this clip.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be good.
I just wanted to kind of do a 30,000-foot view of this. I think this has actually been a really healthy era for the American people, just in that it's never been more evident that this is all a charade, that these people are essentially like they're not gifted enough speakers to be titans of industry, and they're not good enough actors to actually make it in Hollywood. Yep. They're just this hybrid version of both that is like B-list, but also depraved enough that they will sell their soul for any ounce of gravitas or power. They're not really running the show, though. And I think it's never been more obvious. We kind of learned that under the Trump administration. We've talked about this in the past, how trying to remove troops, and they just laughed him off and lied to him, and it's like, no consequences. It's like, oh, okay, so Trump actually thought that he was the president of the United States. He found out he wasn't. Biden isn't really the president of the United States, and he can't even pretend as if he is. So I think that's the silver lining in this, is that the American people have to look at this and realize, like, oh, yeah, we're kind of we have an unelected bureaucracy that continues to keep the ship moving forward, not in a good direction, but that's how it actually works.
I can't agree more with how you think, and I really appreciate that, because so many times people, particularly if you're looking at the spiritual and the personal development arena, tend to think that everything has got to be rosy all the time. It's got to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, then you're doing something wrong. Well, the fact is, sometimes you have to go through hell to get to heaven. You really do. And every significant breakthrough is preceded by a breakdown. And there's been so many Americans asleep at the wheel. It's just been way too comfortable. They're asleep at the wheel. Right. And Trump could tell them, anyone could tell them. You could tell them, I could tell them all day long. And they're like, oh, no. I mean, there's still people who they're seeing everything that's going on, and they still aren't seeing it. Right. Leonardo da Vinci said there's three kinds of people. There's those who see when you show them, and those who will never see even when you show them. Right. Well, there's still a lot of people in that third category, but more and more, there's more coming into the second category because they're seeing it, and that's a good thing. Yep. It doesn't mean it's comfortable. It doesn't mean it's fun. It's not.
But it's necessary.
But it's necessary. It's the only way. And I'll just use this last analogy. If you've ever awakened at night from a horrible nightmare, and you sit up straight in your bed, and you're in a cold sweat, and your heart is palpitating, and you're breathing heavily, and you go, oh, God, it was just a dream. Well, let's remember, it was the nightmare that woke you up. Yeah. It was a nightmare that woke you up. Right. And so that's what's waking up America right now and the world. And I think that's a good thing. And we just got to keep going.
It's a very big nightmare. It's a very big reality. It's some very big consequences on the line here, as we just got the breaking news that Joe Biden will actually be addressing the nation about Trump's Supreme Court immunity later on today, 7:45 p.m. Eastern. I think we should play that live and react to it as it happens in real time, if you guys are free and available to stay up a little bit longer. So we're going to be giving that to you live, as we're going to be, of course, seeing it in real time and responding to it in about an hour from now. So it'll be interesting to see, again, what the President of the United States highlights, or how he speaks and how he represents himself to the American people in just an hour from now, as I think they're going to be doubling up his dosages, and they're going to be somehow trying to convince the American public that, look, he could speak really well. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's some potential kind of deep fake or artificial intelligence kind of technology that could potentially be used here in order to make the president look more spry and more strong. As of course, the president does like to have a lot of kind of visuals that make him look like a strong man. This one particular image, again, I don't have it up on my screen, but this one particular image of him that he gave at Philadelphia really did highlight this kind of larger kind of energy behind this Biden administration, which really isn't nice to their political opponents. As it also looks like Kamala Harris got burned on social media. And I want to kind of bring this point to the larger point that Clint was just making about this kind of awakening that we're seeing with the general public out there, as Elon Musk retweeted the vice president of the United States and said, quote, "When will politicians, or at least the interns who run their account, learn that lying on this platform doesn't work anymore?" Highlighting fact check on Kamala Harris's tweet saying that Donald Trump wants to ban abortion nationwide, highlighting many articles from CNN, AP, New York Times saying that that exactly isn't the case here. Donald Trump addressed this to the general public during the presidential debates here, but being fact-checked, being able to actually communicate with each other, it looks like Twitter is actually back up. And it's one of the platforms that actually was able to still be up and still provide an avenue for Americans to have these larger discussions. Later on in the night, when I was with Alex Jones on his show, as he had 800,000 people watching live concurrently his show of the presidential debate, he made it a point to say, Elon Musk is allowing this to happen. Elon Musk is allowing me to have a voice here. And if it wasn't for Twitter, if it wasn't for this social media platform, all other commentary would have been censored, would have been downranked in the algorithm, and would have been destroyed. But truly, Elon Musk, I have to say, is doing extremely important work, putting his money where his mouth is and actually allowing free speech and actually calling out some of the lying politicians that are trying to think that you're too stupid to understand what's really going on here. As, again, Kamala Harris has a lot of empty platitudes, has a lot of political rhetoric, and people aren't buying it anymore. And I agree with Clint. This is a reawakening, and I think this is why the establishment is kind of in full panic mode, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to even move forward themselves, as a lot of this is being uncovered in real time, and their old tricks aren't working anymore.
And there's only one social media site that is used by a tremendous amount of people and has relative, not even free speech, but just relative free speech compared to the others, and that alone is enough to kind of put a rattle in the foundation of the regime. Mm-hmm. I think this is it just goes to show how tenuous their hold on power is, that like, oh, we have fact checkers that might actually correct the record that, yes, in fact, Trump has said repeatedly he has no interest in a federal abortion ban. In fact, he's ran afoul of the pro-lifers tremendously in saying he wants to leave it to the states, but they continue to repeat the lie. Mm-hmm. And that has historically been how the Democrats have maintained power, is that if they repeat the lie long enough, they can continue to basically hold on to power and convince those that can't see what the reality of the situation is.
And I would say what you guys are doing here, on top of what you said, what Elon Musk is doing with Twitter, is also important, because then people get the other information, or the other side get a different story, and more people are tuning into podcasts and
but the truth is, though, if if like as much as I agree with you, like what we do is important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. But if it weren't for the Elon Musks of the world or the what's his name, the guy who runs the platform we're not allowed to talk about,
Chris Pavlovsky.
yeah, if not for the Chris Pavlovskis of the world, like we wouldn't be able to reach anybody. So like there's like these people are paramount in terms of importance. It's unfortunate that we need heroic figures to actually rise up because there should be financial interests that just say, well, this makes sense. This is a good business decision. But because of the kind of fascistic business model that we operate under, many of them are disincentivized from allowing for it, even if it is profitable to them. And I think that's the paradigm shift that we need to see, is that private businesses need to actually see profit at the end of doing the right thing, as opposed to going along with the people in power.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of them are seeing the opposite of that. I mean, they're seeing profit losses
Exactly.
as they align with the people who are in power, and that's got to be.
Yeah, that's why you had Chris Cuomo come and try to go on Patrick Bet-David's team. And that didn't pan out too well for Patrick. I mean, I don't know what he ended up doing with him, but
Oh, he's still there.
I think he's still working with him. Yeah.
is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. That I wonder about that. It raises a concern just because I feel like, what if, just hypothetically speaking, what if these big media companies are like, you know what, we're gonna like fire you guys, and then you guys go out into these medias that everyone else is tuning into and not tuning into us, and they're a plant to, try to muddy the waters in the arena of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, well, it's there's actually a CIA term for it called limited hangout, and that definitely exists. It's just it's hard to know, because there are people that have just like recently woken up and they don't know the truth of a lot of things.
Sure.
And then you could look at them and say, oh, you're a limited hangout, but it's like, well, no, they're probably just on the path of evolving towards the truth. And also at the same time, like, there's a lot of things I just don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that I really don't know what the truth of the situation. Like, most of the beginning of this show has been us theorizing as to how this system actually works, because all of us here knows it doesn't work as advertised, but there's still a lot of debate on the intricacies of like how this actually is fine tuned.
Correct.
Sure. Yeah.
I think Game of Thrones is an interesting perspective and a way to kind of look at that larger kind of TV show, and then kind of think about what potentially could be going on here. As of course, it looks like we might be having a little bit of issues with our stream decks, which hopefully soon will be fixed.
There we go.
But if not, I will start touching the buttons myself independently. As it does seem like there's a larger shift. Mine's not working too. I'm gonna have to restart mine. It does definitely seem like there's a larger kind of political shift out there. Oh, mine works. Good. Perfect. Especially with what just happened in France, as there are emergency kind of snap elections there, and the right-wingers are winning. The left-wingers, not so much, as the Daily Mail had a very interesting article saying that the French president, Emmanuel Macron, former Rothschild banker, is failing to tackle migration, failing to deal with a lot of the larger social tensions between ethnic groups that he has told to enter his country. He has failed on the cost of living, as of course what's happening in France is almost the same exact thing that's happening here in the United States, that there's a recall of in France. The people of France are saying, no, we don't like these failed policies. We're going to rally behind Marie Le Pen. And now, as she is winning a lot of the smaller elections, it looks like there are massive amounts of protests in response to this, which probably will be coming our way if Donald Trump wins this upcoming election. As of course, what's happening in France could be very indicative to what could soon be happening here inside of the United States. And if Donald Trump wins, there could be a lot of chaos happening on the streets of major cities, as the left today also isn't really happy about the latest Supreme Court decision, which we're going to be talking about here in just a little bit. But is France kind of the writing on the wall for what is coming here to the United States, as there is a kind of silent majority? There is a general public that is saying, you're failing us on all these policies that you keep forcing on us that don't work in the benefit of the local populations. France, Emmanuel Macron literally is doing the same thing that Joe Biden is doing, and he's getting his butt handed to him in local elections. So is this the future of America? What do you guys think?
I think it's very indicative of what we will potentially see if, as you mentioned, if Donald Trump wins.
Meaning
Excuse me.
people are not going to be for the fact that Donald Trump won,
There's
and that's
gonna-
why they're rioting.
There's going to be riots. There's going to be a lot of violence going on, and we saw this previously, under a different auspice, but nonetheless, I really believe that if he wins, assuming there's fair elections, which God we hope and pray there are, and he does win, that there's going to be an uprising of the left that's going to come out and start really doing the kinds of things that are going on in France.
Yeah, but I just wonder if he has a mass majority of the votes, who's doing the uprising?
Well, a lot of the kind of, I think, leftist groups, I think a lot of people will be mobilized like they have during the mostly fiery but peaceful riots that happened inside of the United States not so long ago during the last election cycle. So there is a kind of an organized group out there that I think will be protesting. There's also a lot of bureaucrats that are also talking about the situation if Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States, how they will try to, of course, stifle his political presidency and his larger kind of executive office with their actions that they're trying to preemptively put in place before the election even takes place. So there's a lot of people already prepping, a lot of bureaucrats already preparing, and a lot of government officials, along probably with a lot of covert, secretive kind of organizations out there that are rallying up the troops, that are organizing people, and will be, of course, creating more protests like we saw all throughout the Trump administration.
Well, and the unfortunate reality is, too, there's been no no investigative reporting, no formal investigations from the DOJ whatsoever, as far as I know, to actually figure out what happened in the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
Because it's crystal clear to me that there was outside financial interests, if not outside governmental interests, if not our own deep state that was orchestrating much of that. So the fact that there's been no investigations, no prosecutions, no nothing, no pushback whatsoever, to think that Trump is going to walk into the White House in January of 25 and there's not going to be just absolute insanity and bedlam, I don't see why. I don't see why that would play out that way.
Do you think they're going to maybe start a war on the soil here in the United States?
Well, this is how I kind of see it unfolding. If Joe Biden wins, I see a lot of Trump supporters literally leaving the country and saying, okay, his DOJ is going after all of our kind of supporters, all of our base. If I'm here in the United States, they're going to have the FBI raid my home. So I see a lot of right-wingers just leaving this country. If Donald Trump wins, I do see a lot of protest. I do see a lot of BLM-style kind of riots that could be taking place here and could be very significant to the point where it's going to create so much chaos that it's going to be difficult for the kind of general public to deal with. So, and then with that kind of larger protest movement, a lot of kind of instability. Now, will we reach a point where Americans are fighting Americans? Well, the last election cycle, they were in cities. There were incidences where people took other people's lives because of their political ideas and representation. There was a lot of people that responded very aggressively, some on the right-wing side, predominantly on the left-wing side, overwhelmingly on the left-wing side, even though the kind of federal government decided to look the other way on those specific crimes. So with them being kind of understanding that the federal government's not going to do anything to them, that they're going to get a slap on the wrist, that they're going to get released from jail, that they're not going to have the FBI breathing down their necks or breaking down their door, they're going to be kind of incentivized and pushed to create a lot of chaos. So I see that happening more and more. And then hopefully the situation kind of cools down, but I don't see that happening. And then when that happens, I think anything could happen.
Sure.
Well, let's make sure and remember the how many millions of immigrants that have come into the country, and where does their allegiance lie? I really don't believe it's on the right.
And they're mostly males,
mostly military age males, and they're being given all kinds of money, and they're being put in nice hotels, and all those types of things. They're being fed well, and so. I think there's a potential mobilization, calling to, hey.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually what they did in Iran, right when the so-called revolution happened. is my parents said that all of a sudden you see people in the streets that you know that were not from Iran that would do the protesting, and just like you said, it's going to get crazy in the streets, and that's what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Are you talking about the CIA coup in Iran that happened, that specific incident?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there's more you want to share about that, because the CIA has a history of spurring on a lot of protest groups and going after a lot of democratically elected leaders and essentially setting up coup d'etats in a way that worked with protest, worked with pressure from the media, worked with some people within the military to overthrow governments. If there ever is a government institution that's really great at overthrowing governments, it's the CIA. They did it very knowingly to Iran, which had a very kind of detrimental impact on its country and its history, and then our kind of larger fight that has been unfolding between us and them for a very long time. But you could speak on that more than I can.
Sure. No, I mean, I could see that same thing, similarities that's happening here in the States, which is, it's scary, it's frightening, because I was there at that time when that happened. I know exactly what the steps to get close to that start happening. And people here, I think, especially Americans that are born here, they lived a very comfortable life, and they've been protected, so they thought. So they would think, oh, never in America. I've had cousins that moved to the States before they didn't see the whole revolution take place, so they didn't go through that trauma. When they came here, and we had discussions about what was happening in 2020, and I was telling them, look, this is what they're doing. And they said, no way. In America? No way. In Iran, maybe, but not here. And that's the biggest lie that they've sold to people. So, and my concern is, if they were to, let's say, just play out the idea of we're going to, I don't know, can I go to 9/11? Can I say that right now, or should I wait?
We can wait a little bit for that.
Well, talk about how they sold it to you as democracy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that's what they do, the same thing they're doing here. You'll get the right to vote, and you get to choose your president, and you're going to have all these freedoms, like the same thing that Kamala was saying. And people were like, yeah, let's go for it. And it was the exact opposite. I tell you, the minute they threw the Shah out and the Ayatollah came in, Khomeini came in, within hours, they said, from this day forth, all the women have to cover up. And the women are going, wait, what? What happened? That's it. It was over. Military broke out in the streets. They were throwing people in prison, raping women. I mean, it was horrific. Yeah.
And then the CIA brings in their kind of puppet leader, and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
Exactly.
But they have a history of doing this all throughout Latin America. There's a great book that I remember reading when I was a young child, Stories of an Economic Hitman. That is a brilliant book. If you haven't read it, I would definitely check it out to understand the kind of inner workings of the large kind of technocratic corporatocracy that essentially really is calling on the shots here, and they're making some major decisions. So even though some of the puppets are arguing, I think it's fair to say that they're going to have particular steps that move in a direction where they kind of always win. And in their playbook, we're speculating here, it could be Donald Trump wins, chaos, civil war. Potentially. I hope not, as of course a lot of people calling for violence don't know what they're calling for. And again, if that would happen here in the United States,
in an attempt to reassure voters about his fitness for office, Biden campaign chair Jen O'Malley.
A clip just randomly starting on Twitter from Jake Tapper here.
It probably means Twitter's back working again.
Yes, it is. Steph, read the super chats, please.
Sure. We have a super chat from Paul Wilson saying, anyone who watched the Watergate congressional hearings and the subsequent Nixon trials, or the Iran-Contra congressional hearings and subsequent Reagan trials, knew how the SCOTUS was going to
rule. Yeah.
We have Clint's Camel Toe saying, hola, amigos. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Clint's Camel Toe. I appreciate that.
Wow. Appreciate you, buddy.
And we have this one that I really like by Liberty H2047 saying, remember Elon owns Twitter, but he also has government military contracts and is also someone who had a relationship with Epstein, just like the other tech billionaires. And fuck Neuralink transhumanism.
What are you doing?
Steph.
I'm reading.
Oh, my goodness. We've been over this. Just say F, please.
Sorry,
Family-friendly show here. We have children watching. Steph.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There's gonna be angry mothers. You could address your angry letters to Steph
You
at
guys.
wearechange.org, and we do have children. I used to curse all the time until I literally had like a bunch of people come up to me in real life with
This
their
is
children,
Liberty
being like,
H2O.
I used to watch your show, but I can't because my children are around. Steph,
Liberty
potty mouth.
H2O sending us profanity.
That you read out loud.
I couldn't help myself. I just read.
Again, hate mail at Steph at wearechange.org.
And for the record, no one's forgetting the fact that Elon has government contracts.
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm not forgetting that he wanted to have ID verification through that Israeli company.
Yeah.
I'm not forgetting any of that. All I'm saying is that I can't see the angle at which it benefits the regime for him to be allowing for Alex Jones of the world and all these other people to have the reach that they do, given that the entire rest of the political apparatus, including the judiciary, has done everything in their power to silence Alex Jones.
Yep.
And he's just like, I'm going to give you a 100 million person audience. Why? Why would he do that?
I'm going to give you your whole career back. I'm going to give you the bully pulpit. I'm going to give you the podium. Speak to the entire world. And everyone's listening. And if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a place for Alex. He would have his own website, but he wouldn't be where he is right now.
Then people get into like 40 chess on it, and they're like, well, it's because it's a honeypot, and they want us to tell the truth about how we feel, so then they could come out. They're like, okay, maybe, but we still need to be able to speak freely, and Elon has assisted us in that. I'm appreciative of that, while also keeping in mind all of the pitfalls of his.
But that Q guy keeps telling me it's a part of the plan, and that they're all going to be arrested any moment, at any time. Yeah, okay. Again, I don't believe that 4D.
But it doesn't make him like this amazing God either. It just means that he respects regular free speech like we all do.
Yeah, but he's the only one. Like,
The
you don't see
only
Facebook
one.
doing this. You don't see YouTube doing this. You don't see
Rumble's doing it, regular.
You can't say that word either.
Oh, strike two.
This is why Steph doesn't talk.
Strike two.
I
We're gonna have
can't
to change-
censor
we're gonna
myself.
change our-
I'm
we're
not
gonna-
able to censor myself.
Anyway,
I got
sure-
this
I'm sure
form
glad it
here.
was you
continue,
and
uh,
not
Read
me.
it.
we'll continue the conversation in a fully free way in just a little bit. Before we do, we want to tell you about one of the companies that we work with that we're very happy that we work with, and that, of course, is landofbiltong.com. They have incredible products. I like their products. I use their products. I eat their products all the time. They always send us a big bag of this stuff, and I'm very happy that they do. Clint gets paid exclusively just in Biltong alone, and that's how good
I'm the most
this
well-paid
stuff
man
is.
in the planet. I
Damn-
get Biltong all day, every day.
Damn right. And to me, this is like ethically sourced, like good. This is biltong, but it's like beef jerky. It's pretty much very close to it. But this has a bunch of other stuff, a part of it that I really like, that I really really enjoy. So if you are on a carnivore diet, check them out, as of course biltong is a family-friendly snack, low in carbs, packed with protein, making biltong the ultimate health snack. It's a great source of iron and also serves as a source of several other essential nutrients, including magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, which translates into exceptional gains in all aspects of life. If you follow any high-protein, meat-based diet, biltong should be an essential part of your diet. Code WRC for free shipping. Check them out right now. The link will be in the description and also in the comment section. You can buy a bunch of stuff. You can buy spices. You can buy their merch. And I like supporting them because they support us. And my favorite
They have a
personally.
great product, most importantly.
Yeah, no, their product is absolutely great. My favorite is the U.S. Wagyu. What about you? Which one do you like?
Is that the spicy one?
No,
No.
that is not the spicy one. I think we have the spicy one, the Wagyu Ghost right there.
Yeah,
that is pretty legit.
Show it to us. Wagyu Ghost is the spicy flavor. Wagyu is really delicious because it has like that fat, and I really like that juiciness. There's also the bison, which is less fat, venison and elk, less fat. So if you're looking to really be good with your macros and everything, you can eat those. But if you just want delicious meat, go for the Wagyu. It's my favorite too.
Yeah, Steph has been doing kind of a carnivore-ish diet recently. I was like, hey, bro, I have some spinach and I need carbs. I need energy. I love this stuff too, but you're like, I'm not fat anymore, which was pretty interesting to hear.
I know, I'm saying that I'm getting in shape now with a little bit of exercise, and upping my protein during exercise days has been helpful. So.
So yeah, check out Land of Biltong. Really great stuff. Promo code WRC free shipping. Promo code WRC10, 10% off if your purchase is over $50. As of course, now we officially move over. Before we do, James, where can people find out more information about you?
The best place to go is harmonicwealthglobal.com. That's Bersaba and I's company. And all the things we do, from our corporate consulting, our business consulting, our one-on-one coaching, to the products and services, including my new book, are all on harmonicwealthglobal.com. There it is.
The new book, God, Money, Sex. We'll get into that book, and then your felony record, and a bunch of other controversial stuff.
I love to. I welcome it.
And the Supreme Court decision, and some new developments surrounding the Epstein case, and comments from Joe Biden that are going to be happening live in about 45 minutes. We're also going to be taking callers in about 25 minutes. So if you're a caller, just let me know that you want to call in through the Telegram group, and we will be going to you. Bershav, where can people find out more information about you?
The same place, harmonicwealthglobal.com, and we're both on Twitter.
Awesome. Clint?
Yeah.
X.
At Liberty Lock Pod.
X, sorry.
At Liberty Lock Pod on X. If you want to support my work, subscribe there. Follow you back. Liberty Lockdown is the show. And I am having a allergy attack that I may have to bow out. So I apologize for that, but I will be.
Again? We got some Benadryl.
I just took it.
Okay.
I just took it. So I'm going to try and hang in there, but we'll see. So.
What did you eat?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hope you get better. We'll have to. We could resuscitate you. We have the resuscitator right here that will be able to, of course, shock you back up into proper health. Steph?
Is that the real deal?
Yeah. Well, we have a thing on the next platform when we reach 100,000 subscribers that Clint has very generously and very nicely volunteered himself to be tasered.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No.
We're gonna pop a champagne bottle. We're gonna have all the people come down. I think Roger Stone wants to be a part of it. Mostly peaceful Latinas, the quartering. A whole bunch of people are flying down just for this moment where we all get to kind of taser Clint once we get 100,000 subscribers on the new platform that we're going to. Very
poor
soon.
guy.
That's what he wants you to think.
We love Clint.
Go ahead, Steph.
And you can follow me on X at StephWRC or on Instagram at StephWeAreChange.
All right, we're going to go over to this other platform where we are on the front page of. So all you have to do is just go to this platform, go to the front page, and subscribe. Because once you do, we are that much closer. We're only 400 people away, ladies and gentlemen, from one of the most amazing meme-tastic moments ever that will transpire here on the best political show. It's going to be incredible. You can be a part of it. Again, just go to that other platform. Subscribe. I don't know what you're waiting for. It's going to be a glorious, incredible show that all of us are going to be a part of. And again, I'm a man of my own words. 200,000 subscribers on that platform. I'll get tasered. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
Stephanie?